have to defeat the SAVE Act? Yes. Because they're not trying to save America. They're trying to save their own power at any cost. Yes. But we're not having it. I'll stand up all night if I have to stand up.
You guys can hear me, but when I heard this speech, I'm like, they really know how to get us worked up. And here's another clip. So what I'm gonna be doing, I'm gonna be showing you guys various clips today, and I just wanna hear your perspective as I show different perspectives in these clips, okay? So here's another one.
What voting rights is he taking away from black voters?
Oh, if we look at the SAVE Act, that's exactly what we're talking about. That is actually going to continue to disenfranchise overwhelmingly a lot of people of color. There are so many civil rights organizations that have run the data. If we look at the way that it is going to disenfranchise black voters, it's the same reason why Chuck Schumer called it Jim Crow 2.0. So this is the same president. If we want to continue...
You haven't said how yet.
I am talking about it. It's the way that you're putting new poll taxes on this when you're making people have...
So I just showed two clips for you guys who just tuned in. And she referenced the Save American Act to Jim Crow 2.0. She said this is what Schumer was saying. So we're going to have to be very careful about who we listen to, especially when it comes to people influencing how we think, how we feel, and how we move. Some people may appear to be on our side, but we cannot allow rhetoric to emotionally charge us to the point that like we get so emotional till it blinds our logic and our God-given common sense. And as we go through these clips and it's centered around the Save America Act and Birthright Citizenship, I want you to keep that perspective in mind. So with these debates, as you just heard, I'm not sure if you guys heard it, but once I go live, you guys will be able to view it over. But as you heard, people who look like us speaking against the Save America Act, what I'm not hearing them do is mention Dred Scott, Birthright Citizenship. They're not mentioning the risk that we are at when it comes to the overturn or them misinterpreting Dred Scott. Let me put my boy up here, Mr. Dred Scott. I want them to put some respect on Dred Scott. And I'm not hearing them speak of this. They're doing all the debates. To me, that's what makes it seem as if it's performative and that they're doing it for money. They're doing it for political gain and political power, I should say, and financial gain. And that's what scares me about these people. It's very concerning on what people will do for money. That's why I'm very cautious about what I do, because I don't know why people, when they are elevated and they start getting these incentives and money, it just changed, like they throw all of their moral character or principles out the door. And I want to remind you that Dred Scott had a family. They speak about their families and all the illegal aliens' families, but they don't. Are they really advocating for us? I'm not hearing that. I'm not hearing them say that. So what I was going to do is what they are talking about is the SAVE Act. And I made some notes for you guys to walk with me on, just so that we're all on the same page when it comes to what the Save American Act is also called, the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act. And what it does is require proof of U.S. citizenship to register to vote. It adds stricter voter ID requirements nationwide. And some versions of it require states to share voters' data with federal systems for verification. So I'm going to tell you, or I'm going to share with you what supporters and critics are saying, because I don't want to be biased. I want you guys to see what the arguments are or what the supporters and critics are saying. So mostly the people that supported on the Democratic side say that it is about preventing non-citizens from voting and protecting election integrity. Now, the critics, which are mostly Democrats, say it will make it harder for millions of eligible Americans to vote. And then it said they are saying that especially impact voters, impact low-income voters and minority voters who may be lack required documents. But when I heard this, I'm like, okay, who are the minority voters who lack required documents? It's not foundational Americans, so they're not talking about us. So let me get you. So I was asked the question that are Democrats able to block it? And the answer is yes. They are openly saying this, you guys, and intentionally saying Schumer and other Democrats have publicly said that they will stop the bill from passing the Senate, that they've even said that they're willing to hold the floor as long as needed to prevent it from passing. And there was reports today that say that Democrats are prepared to kill the bill if it comes to it with a vote, okay? So why are they trying to block it, or how can they block it? So most major bills need 60 votes because of the filibuster, right? And when it comes to filibustering, that's them just making up stuff to delay the vote. When I was doing my research, I was reading where, I can't remember his name, where he read a whole phone book just to delay the vote from passing. And it essentially works most of the time. And when I did my research, it was majority of Southern Democrats who used that tactic of filibustering just to delay the vote and prevent it from even passing the Senate. Okay, so Republicans don't currently have enough votes on their own. So even if the bill passed the House, which it did, it can still be stopped in the Senate. So I got you guys another one too. So when it comes to what they're really arguing, so that we're all on the same page, the Republicans' perspective is the bill is about election security. Only citizens should vote and prove that they are eligible or show proof of requirement. And they argue that current system leave room for fraud, which that's logic. We've all seen the fraud when it comes to not only voting, but driver license, you name it. So I'm not even going to go over the list. And then when it comes to the Democrat perspective, they're saying that the bill is voter suppression. It could block legitimate voters who, and they said that most people don't have passports or birth certificates readily available, and they face bureaucratic barriers. If you are already an American, you don't need a passport. And if you are over here, whether you overstay, because sometimes we forget that there are people that come here, but they overstay their visas, right? So if you don't have the proper paperwork or requirement, you shouldn't be voting in our election. There's no way that these people that are from another country should be voting and influencing Americans and telling us what to do. And Schumer even called it a voter suppression bill rather than a simple ID law. Let me read some of y'all comments. I know that's right. At Q-Ray, Ray, Ality, FBA. High fall in the sport. You say immigrants? I'm not sure what that means. Correct, so the FBA have documents all day, including ID. Right, it's not us who are saying that. And then they pretend as if we're back in the 1800s or 1900s. We are no longer in that time anymore where there was an issue with our ancestors having their birth certificates. They know that, and they're just still using those same language because of our ancestors in the past. Like that's the only thing they tried to use to push these bills and have other people from other countries vote in our laws and make, and I'm going to go over this too. Give me 1 second. I have a clip for that. I have a board for this too. So that's another thing I wanted to cover. When we talk about the system, I hear a lot of people ask, well, who is behind the system? So when we talk about the system, we are not talking about like someone secretly controlling everything. We're talking about laws and policies that are created, voted on, and enforced by people in the government. Those laws shape how everyday people operates. And that's what we're all living under. So I got you guys a simple breakdown that I typed up for us. So you have an idea, the bill, the vote, the law, and then the enforcement, which makes up the system. So a politician, like a member of the United States Congress or the president, propose something. That's the idea, right? So then the idea is written into a bill which is a proposed law. So once the bill is made, the bill is debated and voted on in Congress, which is the House and the Senate, the House of Representatives and the Senate. Okay, so once the bill is made, if it passes, the president signs it. So the president has to sign off on it and it becomes the law. So after that, the government agencies enforce it. Now it affects how everyday people live and how we live our everyday life. And when it comes to the American Save Act or Save American Act, it has already passed the House, but it has to go into the Senate, and that's where Chuck Schumer is, and they're saying that they're gonna use the filibuster tactics in order to stall out and not pass the bill. It passed the House, but now it has to pass the Senate, and then the president will sign off on it. So all of that together, when it comes to the idea that you have, the bill, the vote, the enforcement, that's what makes up the system. So it's not like it's somebody like the Wizard of Oz and somebody behind the curtain that is making all these rules. It is the policies. So the system isn't just one person. It is the result of policies that were passed, people who vote for them, and the institutions that enforce them. Okay, so that's why it's important to pay attention to what's being passed, not just who's speaking, but what policies are actually becoming law, because once it's law, that it becomes something we all have to live under. So that's why it does not make any sense for us to be worried about who we like because they may look like us or they may speak our language. Because I speak that language too, even though I be professional on here. I speak that language too. I come from the hood, so just because someone know how to speak our lingo and our language or look like us, if their policies is not in our best interest, there's no way we should be voting for them. And I did that for a long time as well. I've been loyal to the Democratic Party, and that's who my people voted for. I didn't know what policies they were running, but that's like how we were conditioned to think. So we voted for them, and I was very upset with myself for that. Once I realized, and that wasn't until 2015, around that time when, I went through some transformation in my life, my personal life, and I started to awaken in different areas of my life. So when it was time to vote, I've told the story many times to my audience and my loyal subscribers and channel membership, that's when I started praying before I vote to ask God for guidance and wisdom on what policies to vote for. And then I just started to educate myself more. And then once I found out on how irresponsible I was, and I was never really taught it, and my mom and parents weren't either. We just all voted Democrat, not knowing anything. So I was really upset about that. Okay. We don't like dual citizenship. I don't support that. Okay, so okay, I don't know if you guys saw the video that I had at the Heritage Foundation event, but I am going to show you a clip to put things into perspective because he gives some really good, he makes some really good points on here. So let's listen to this one together.
Thank you, everybody. It's great to be here. Immigration is very different than it's been throughout American history. My parents were immigrants to the United States. I'm a first-generation American. But things are different, and I'm going to contend today that things are different in part because what foreign actors are doing, and they are weaponizing immigration and using it as a tool to undermine American sovereignty and to advance their domestic political interests inside the United States itself. So I'm going to do that not by positing my theories, but just quoting from some people who explain what their motivations are behind mass migration. And I want to begin with our neighbor to the south, Mexico. We all think we know why mass migration is taking place, but let me just read a couple of quotes from high-ranking Mexican officials that explain why they are excited about mass migration to the United States. The first one is from a Mexican senator, Felix Salgado. He's a member of the ruling Morena party, sits on the National Defense Committee, which is one of the most powerful committees in the Mexican Senate. He said this just a couple of years ago, quote, "Mexicans are in our territory, California, Nevada, Texas, Utah, New Mexico, Arizona, Kansas, Oklahoma, Colorado, and Wyoming. We're going to take back the territory that was stolen from us." What? When I first ran across that, I thought that was really odd, and I thought that Senator Salgado just must be a nutcase. But I kept finding these quotes. This is from Gabriela Rodriguez. She's a senior aide to the current president, Sheinbaum of Mexico. This is from a December 2024 official report of the Mexican government. Quote, "We already know that the Mexican population in the United States reaches 39.9 million. We Mexicans are reclaiming our territory." When we think of mass migration from Mexico, we think about it in the context of the economic forces that are pulling people to come to the United States. When Mexico's elite thinks about it, they think about it as a means by which they can exert sovereignty in the United States itself. If that sounds kooky and crazy, they back it up. It's not just comments and statements they make. Literally, there are dozens of them that I could quote. It's actually the actions that they engage in that include this desire to exert political sovereignty in the United States. So what am I talking about? Well, one of the things I'm talking about is the fact that Mexico has right now a network of more than a dozen senior Mexican officials who live full-time inside the United States, but they actually serve in the Mexican Senate and in the Mexican Parliament. In other words, their job is to represent Mexicans living inside the United States before the Mexican government. That is certainly an erosion into our sovereignty. But to take it a step further, these same individuals are also involved in organizing violent protests and riots in the United States. In fact, one of them, Alejandro Robles, who serves in the Mexican Chamber of Deputies, lives outside of Los Angeles in Ontario, California. In 2025, he went across the United States to, quote, organize the militancy against Donald Trump, end quote. This is a foreign government official. I could also look to the network of 53 consulates that Mexico has in the United States. They're doing the same thing. But the bottom line is that mass migration for our neighbor to the south has important political implications. And those political implications include exerting levels of sovereign political action inside our country itself.
One of the things that stood out, and I know you guys may have caught on to as well, is he said he's a first-generation American. I do not believe he's a politician. I only know him as an author, but he has been speaking against a lot of the corruption when it comes to the illegal aliens and birth tourism. And for me, as long I don't have a problem with people who are here legally and have went through the legal process and are abiding by our laws and rules. And he seemed to be a person that has done that. And we need allies and those that come to America and have complete allegiance to our country. So it's foolish. I spoke about this in some of my earlier videos when it comes to, it's very plain on what their agendas are. They truly think that these are their country, and all the states, including Texas, Wyoming, Colorado, Arizona, California. They think that this is their state, their home. So they come in and behave in a manner of entitlement, and then accuse us of racism, accuse us of not being compassionate, which their definition of racism and compassion is turning a blind eye and allow them to break our rules, undermine us, and ultimately take over our country and our government from inside of our borders. So one of the questions I was asking, what are your feelings when it comes to first generation? Because I understand that one of the former president candidacies that was running for president was, I believe, what was his name? Vivek Ramaswamy. He got a lot of pushback, and when it comes to him being American and speaking against heritage American, essentially speaking against foundational Black Americans, or any of us that's been here from the beginning, like foundational Americans, lineage Americans. He was speaking very recklessly, I would say, and think that we're not going to take offense to that. Like, there is sacredness to this being our country, and those, not saying that's what he's doing, but those that are coming here rather undocumented or staying over their visas, somehow they could vote in our election and use birthright citizenship. Birthright citizenship, let me remind those that are here, Dred Scott and Harriet Scott, which is his wife, those are the two people, along with many other, and they were like used for the example of getting birthright citizenship, and those that fought in the Civil War. I do not understand why they think they can come to our country and pretend that they know our history and then use the rhetoric and racist bias that they are being taught against us. It's ridiculous, and we ain't standing for it. And that brings me to this other clip that Chuck Schumer spoke about when it comes to a lot of Latin Americans, especially those that are in the Mexicans, those from Venezuela, El Salvador, all of them. If you are illegal immigrant, I don't care if you're from Haiti, Africa, I really don't care. You're not us. And you're not a foundational Black American. Period. And I really don't care who don't like it, to be honest with you. But it's not only them. We're going to go back to, he's also speaking of when it comes to the exploitation and abuse of birthright citizenship. There's also another layer to this, because it's not just those that are in, that section when it comes to Mexico, Venezuela, and as he was mentioning, and many of them here in America that is influencing and undermining our laws and changing them. He's going to speak about what's going on in China. I've also spoke about this when it comes to birth tourism. You guys listen up.
And those political implications include exerting levels of sovereign political action inside our country itself. Now, let me just mention one other country that is engaging in similar sort of activities, but has a very different methodology, and that would be our chief rival on the global stage, which is the People's Republic of China. China is engaging in industrial scale exploitation of birthright citizenship in the United States. That is the notion, the idea, interpreted by some, that if you are physically inside the United States, it doesn't matter why you're here, if you are physically within the borders of the United States, you get automatic citizenship for the child. In China, the Chinese Communist Party has actually run articles in the People's Daily and other publications explaining to Chinese elites that this right exists, and in fact encouraging them to do so. And there is a massive birth tourism industry inside of China, more than 1,000 companies we've identified, that will make these arrangements for pregnant women in China. What they will do for a fee of about $80,000 to $100,000 is arrange for them to fly to the United States, get them through customs, arrange for the medical procedure. The child is born. Once the child is able to fly, flies back to China, where it will be raised in the People's Republic of China under the auspices of the CCP. The problem is that child is now, according to this interpretation, a U.S. citizen. And even if they only spent a few days here at their point of birth, and even though they have been raised in communist China, when they turn 18, they're going to be able to vote in our elections, contribute to political campaigns, and donate to political campaigns and take government jobs. So this represents a massive security threat, especially when you look at the numbers, the massive scale in which this is taking place. Now, our federal government does not keep track of this data. There's no federal numbers on how many from China and other countries have done this. But the Chinese government has looked at this, and research firms have, and the numbers are eye-popping. Chinese government believes over the last 13 years, on average, roughly 50,000 children have been born in the United States every year. There are experts like Professor Salvatore Barbonis from Australia. He's an Australian professor.
My goodness. We've covered this in my one of my videos when I was speaking about, I kind of covered what he was just talking about when it comes to birth tourism. What he's saying is it's also an entire operation that is currently going on, where they're making like tons of money for flying them to America, send them up in these high-end hotels to live. They come and they have their babies here. Once they have their babies here, they go back to China, raise their children, and their children are able, well, they're automatic have birthright citizenship, so they can come back to America and go not only to our schools, reap all the benefits of our resources, and can also be elected officials. And even when it comes to becoming a president, because they will be considered automatic citizenship. We have to do something about that. And you have to ask yourself, who's really getting upset with wanting Americans to actually enforce the laws that we already have? Many people say make them stricter, but just apply the laws that we have the way that they have been written. And when it comes to birthright citizenship, what they're so upset about is because it went through Congress. And as you guys see today, how hard it is for Americans or for the House to get the bills passed through the Senate and to the president to be enforced. They use other tactics, filibuster, and then they go to these social media outlets and they use influencers, whether that is people in the industry, from actors, entertainers of all sorts, even late night shows, whoever, to influence the American people, but they're just not listening. I mean, their time is up. Like, no one is buying it anymore. Here's another clip. Let me read some of y'all. I told my dad, my daughter ain't gonna. Okay, we're not doing that. Democrats. It says the 14th Amendment could change all this because this is not what the 14th Amendment was for. You're absolutely right. Crazy work. Who is this person? Sounds as if they want to be a FBA and they're not. I look at the population of Asians and there are almost as many of them as there are FBA. The difference is they are different ethnic groups, but Chinese is the largest. Thank you. These people also get a right to vote. Okay. Go and say that in your country. And come over here telling us what we can do. You guys are so disrespectful. Don't let this voice fool you, okay? Please don't try me. What does it say? It says ladies, foreign men from developing countries are also targeting American women to be in relationships. Yeah, they want to get married so that they can get citizenship. And these people are so aggressive and they have no kind of respect for us. And they don't care if you are a foundational Black American or a white American. These people have no respect. I don't know what they're getting taught in their country, but they're bringing their culture here. Poor hackers fighting for our ancestors. 14th Amendment written only for themselves and their descendants, FBA. I know that's right. $50K every year for 13 years. Okay, I don't know who this guy is, but I don't think he's a member, a subscriber. Did you all know Jesse Jackson said no immigration at one point? And Cesar Chavez too? No immigrants? I didn't listen to Jesse Jackson a lot, to be honest with you. Okay, I don't know who he's talking to. It says nobody is Black unless it can trace lineage to 1870. Well, sir, you can't tell me who I am, sir or ma'am. I know exactly who I am. Some of you guys just want to hate. It's not good. It's not good. Let's see what else we have. Yeah, so I wanted to show you guys something when he was talking about the Chinese birth tourism. We have to go back to the Wong Kim art case. This is him being celebrated. Wong Kim art, no disrespect to them, because I don't have, like I said again, I don't have any problem when it comes to legal immigrants that's coming to our country. What I do have a problem with is for them to act as if Wong Kim art was some hero. He was used for a purpose because they needed to work people. They needed labor. That's what the 1898 was for, and the Supreme Court got it wrong. And I've covered this before as well. He did not fight in the Revolutionary War. He was not here for the Civil War to fight in those wars. Our people was. And when you behave and have this type of misrepresentation, it takes away from Dred Scott, who was an enslaved man, which is our ancestors that did. Him and his wife and children, they survived those tragedies of chattel slavery. And for you guys to act as if you can erase or hijack his legacy is so disrespectful. And here's another photo. What did he do? I'm asking an honest question. He does not get to hijack what Dred Scott and those around him, and even the free foundational Black Americans were here, even Indians Americans. He did not fight or go through. He did not. It does not. Although there was Chinese the Chinese. Let me pull it up. Exclusion Act. During that time in 1882, there was the Chinese Exclusion Act where they had banned and barred Chinese people from not only being citizens, but even labor here in America. You guys have to go back and watch some of my earlier videos, because I hate to continue to repeat myself, but yeah, I guess it's necessary here. Because most people forget the 1882 China. During that time, the Chinese people wasn't even allowed to be citizens, and his parents were emperors of China. They were not citizens. They were what do you call it? The residents here. They was domicile, permanent residents here. That's not the same as citizenship. Go back and do your research. Because when it comes to the Chinese Exclusion Act, the repeal wasn't until December 17, 1943. And that is what ended what they report 61 years of the discriminatory legislation allowing Chinese immigrants to become naturalized citizens. Naturalized citizens. That is totally different from birthright citizenship. So you don't get to come and hijack. You don't get to come and overshadow or hijack Dred Scott and versus Sanford, and that overturning what became birthright citizenship after the Civil War. So I just wanted to remind you guys of that. So I'm going to show you guys another clip when it comes to them speaking about Americans, leaders and politicians speaking about speaking about the Save American Act.
As you all know, we are in the middle of a spirited and lengthy debate on the Save America Act. It's a piece of common sense legislation that we think is overwhelmingly supported by the American people, and we intend to keep pushing forward and ensure that the American people know whether their senators are for or against ensuring that only American citizens vote in American elections. You've probably heard some falsehoods coming out of the Democrats throughout the course of the week. Probably paramount among those was when Leader Schumer answered a question and said, well, we're not really opposed to photo ID. That was quickly dispelled when we had an opportunity to vote or to respond to a proposal put forward by the senator from Ohio, Senator Husted, that would have passed essentially photo ID only, limited it to that one issue. And the Democrats not only blocked it, but their counter-proposal was a piece of legislation that would actually specifically ban photo ID nationwide. So they're not serious about this issue, but they are clearly on the wrong side of the American people.
I agree. As he said, this is a spirited, lengthy debate. It is very much so spiritual. I understand that. I can feel that. And as he said, Chuck Schumer and the rest of those on the Democratic Party that think like him, they're not doing this for the American people, because the American people are speaking. And even though it sounds as if they are louder, it seems that way because they're panicking. They're going to all of these outlets, trying their best to convince someone that somehow this is about Trump. This is not even about Trump. Trump is just the president now, and this is his last term. This isn't about Trump. They want to make this like this hate Trump campaign. This is about our policies and American people and what affects our everyday lives and our children and our grandchildren and those that come behind us. And they want to play these political games with real people's lives. Let me show you guys this. So when he was talking about what the American people are saying, let's play this clip because I'm gonna show you different people that are speaking. This is CNN. I don't typically watch this, but I wanted to give different perspectives and different media outlets and people that are speaking about this. So let's listen to what she's saying, because remember, he said that they're not speaking for the American people and what they're saying.
I do think that the SAVE Act is a great idea. 83% of Americans support it, as I learned on CNN this morning, and that includes, 76% of Black Americans, 82% of Latinos, 85% of white Americans. So to me, that's the move. Push the SAVE Act and force Democrats to admit that they are against what 83% of Americans want. I think this is all kind of just a distraction, a bit of nonsense.
Can I say?
Okay. As she said, this is a distraction. Why are you the SAVE Act is for, sometimes I just cannot, my brain cannot even wrap around how some people think. And then they want us to be stupid. The SAVE Act is just saying you have to show proof that you are a citizen. That's already of the law. They're enforcing it. And then they want to say, well, your ID is not going to prove if you're citizens or not. That's why they have other requirements that you can show, because they have also fraudulently got driver license from people working inside of our systems, inside of our government offices, and they're providing them fake IDs.
Favor photo ID to vote. 85% of white people favor it. 82% of Latino. 76% of Black Americans favor it. So the bottom line is this. Voter ID is not controversial in this country. A photo ID to vote is not controversial in this country. It is not controversial by party, and it is not controversial by race. The vast majority of Americans agree with Nicki Minaj that, in fact, you should have a photo ID to be able to vote.
They are sitting here wanting us to believe, like the everyday American people, we are speaking. They want us to stay silent with the political tactics and the propaganda, but it's just not working, because while they're trying to get on social media using influencers or these major media outlets to convince people that the American people don't want this. But let me show you. So according to August 2025, the Pew Research Center poll shows that when it comes to the SAVE Act, it is bipartisan. 95% of Republicans and 71% of Democrats are favoring the voter ID. And then it says the voter ID support, the high approval rate, 80%, stems from widespread possession and use of identification. Let me pull this one up too. This one's the one I really want. Okay, so this one is showing more of the demographics. Approximately 76% of Black Americans are in favor of the SAVE Act, 85% of white Americans, and 82% of Latino Americans. So they want us to believe that there's even Hispanic people that are legally here or went through the naturalization process that are saying that they do not want illegal aliens, illegal immigrants voting in American election. They knew what they had to go through in order to get their citizenship. So they understand the importance of, going through the process and becoming a citizen. And they love being in this great country that many of people try to convince us to hate. And now they're wanting to replace Americans with illegal immigrants, or those that are corruption. That's all first thing that comes to mind is like the birth tourism, and it's coming from all over. They want us to be like it's racist. No, it's all of them. Anybody that are coming here and don't have the proper paperwork, whether it's passport, if you're overstaying your visa, then you are now eligible for deportation. I mean, that shouldn't be controversial at all. But this is what they really want us to believe is this. FBA, stay on code. You already know what it is. And by all involved, no more free rides. Exactly. Get it right. Fall in the sport. Get right or get the hell on. Yes, sir. Okay, so Nadine Henderson says that I'm an FBA and I support the SAVE Act 100%. Yes, most foundational Black Americans do. We understand. Like we have our grandmas that's from here. You know, like, no, we do not want you guys. We have a Republican Senate and a Republican House over a year. It said this is as good as things will ever get for conservatives. Dems are 85% favorite to win the House on Polymart. I haven't seen that. I think I have another clip. Oh, this is what they want us to believe right here. This is what they want us to believe, you guys.
She was put back on the rolls, and I verified with that clerk. Can you see if she's active or inactive? And she checked, and that deceased family member was marked active.
Okay, so she had a dead family member taken off the rolls 20 years after this person died and then put back on the rolls, meaning somebody was voting under the name of her dead family member, and she's the Speaker of the House in Michigan. So how big a problem, how widespread do you think this really is?
Well, you know, first of all, I don't really need to quantify how widespread it is. The fact that it happens in even one case is enough for me to believe there's a law violation. And so, you know, what's interesting is the left keeps moving the goalposts. So first they said this doesn't happen or it's extremely rare. Well, actually, the review so far this last year of approximately between 50 and 60 million voter records, which states have voluntarily uploaded or we've gotten from them, has shown hundreds of thousands, over 300,000 dead people on the voter rolls, and that's just a slice of the voter rolls. And we have referred tens of thousands of potential non-citizens who are on the voter rolls. And that's a lengthier process, Rob, because we don't want to accuse anybody wrongfully. And so we have to go through checking a number of different databases, sources, sometimes court records to determine whether this person became a citizen or not. And then finally, we reach a conclusion. And if that non-citizen voted in a federal election, we're referring those cases for federal prosecution. And there are some prosecutions like that that are being worked up by my friends in the U.S. Attorney's Office.
They only accuse people of what they are guilty of. I mean, fraud. They try to say that, oh, we don't have a problem with ID. And then they want to create all this fear and say that, oh, but it's going to hurt people, about millions of people. Those millions of people they're talking about are illegal aliens, illegal immigrants, those that are not supposed to be voting in our elections anyway. So she was just speaking about reports and documents that they are using people that are deceased, using their name and information in order to vote and get IDs. We have seen over these last few years since Trump has been in office, we have seen, an extended amount of fraud in all areas of government. And it's just, it's actually caused a lot of harm to the American people, to our children. No one is really speaking about the compassion for us. I have one more video to show you guys, and it just shows like he just really demonstrate the contradiction and the foolishness that is going on in our government. And then I'm going to give you guys my last words.
Nationalizing elections, urging Congress to pass the SAVE Act. If passed, this bill would require people to provide proof of U.S. citizenship, like a passport or birth certificate, when registering to vote in federal elections. But voting groups like the Brennan Center warn that the bill could block millions of people from voting and that it's actually an attack on the freedom to vote.
Well, first of all, our elections are already secure, but secondly, it's not common sense to require these kinds of documents for people to register to vote when we know that 21 million adult American citizens don't have ready access to a passport or a birth certificate, which is exactly what they'd have to show in order to get registered to vote if the SAVE Act would pass. So this bill would surely block millions of American citizens from voting.
How likely are people to actually have these documents readily available?
Yeah, I think it's really important for people to realize that this isn't really a voter ID law. This is a show your papers law. We're not talking about a driver's license here. I saw that graphic at the beginning mentioned a real ID compliant license, and it's true that the bill suggests you could use a real ID compliant license, but it's not actually true because it says that license has to demonstrate you're a citizen on its face, and real IDs don't do that. Real IDs are available to both citizens and non-citizens alike, and they don't demonstrate whether you're a citizen. So what we're talking about here is a show your papers law, where you'd have to show your birth certificate or your U.S. passport to vote. And again,
did you catch that? Let me replay it for you real quick so you can see what I'm talking about.
Real IDs are available to both citizens and non-citizens alike, and they don't demonstrate whether you're a citizen. So what we're talking...
So if citizens and non-citizens can get real IDs, basically a driver's license, and it doesn't indicate that you're a U.S. citizen on a driver's license, then how are you going to verify if somebody is a U.S. citizen? You just literally admitted that non-U.S. citizens can get an ID. And that same ID is what's currently being used when you go vote. You can pull up your driver's license to verify that's who you say you are. But it does not indicate if you're a U.S. citizen or not. That's why this registration, this new voter registration, is critical. Because how are you going to differentiate who's a citizen or not if non-citizens and U.S. citizens can get a real ID? Make this make sense.
I cannot help but to laugh. Like, they're playing in our face. Like, literally, they actually want us to be stupid or play stupid. I'm not sure which one it is. And I can tell you the majority of FBAs I know, and when I say FBAs, I'm talking about lineage Black Americans that I personally know, ain't falling for that at all. That contradiction is wild. He just said that with an ID, you can, non-citizens and citizens can have an ID. So why wouldn't they ask for another form of verification so that they could make sure that you are legal to vote in our election? They don't want that. What they are trying to do, and I just wish that they would tell people the truth, but the truth is not in them. And truly in my heart, I just know that there are, many people that is confused. And as I was praying about speaking on these issues, because they truly impact everyday Americans like us, I felt led to remind you of something that came to my heart. I'm here because I genuinely believe that many of you are God's people and you've been misled, taken advantage of, and in some cases manipulated for far too long. My role is simply to be obedient and to do my part by sharing what God has taught me. I used to be a Democrat. I voted Democrat too as soon as I was eligible to vote because my family did. And many of them was listening to people in our community thinking that we are doing, that we're helping our people. And we all have to come to terms that we have been lied to for a really long time. And that is okay. But once you know better, you must do better. Now, I understand when you've been taught to think a certain way, when you've built loyalty toward people you believe had your best interests at heart, it can be very difficult to process the possibility that you've been misled. That's real, but that's also human. And I don't dismiss that, but this is where discernment comes in. There are good people on every side. People who are skeptical, people who don't know who to trust anymore. And honestly, I understand why. We've seen deception, we've seen dishonesty, we've seen hidden agendas. Something sounds good, but that doesn't always mean that they are good. That's why I encourage you, if you have not built your own personal relationship with God, now is the time. Go to him, ask him for wisdom, for clarity, for truth, because God will reveal what men try to hide. He will sharpen your awareness and help you to see through deception. And what God brought back to me in prayer was the story of Moses leading God's people out of Egypt. When they were being led out of bondage toward the promised land, the very promise God made to them, not everyone believed. Many complained, many doubt. They doubted it. Some even wanted to turn back and return to what was familiar to them, even though it was bondage. Even while following Moses and Aaron, his brother Aaron, there was people who still questioned. They still lacked faith, still allowed fear to overtake them. And that's no different than what we're seeing today. Even when they reached the Red Sea with danger behind them and uncertainty ahead of them, some believed and some didn't. That's just being honest. But God didn't ask for perfect faith. He asked for faith the size of a mustard seed. That's what I try to remind you guys, because that's what I have to remind myself. That's why I stay in God's word. And I want to remind you, and when Moses trusted God and moved in obedience, God did something miraculous. He parted the Red Sea. What looked impossible became possible. And those who were trying to bring them back into bondage was washed away. So what am I saying? This is not about trusting people. This is about putting your faith. It's not about putting your faith in one man. This is about trusting God, allowing him to lead you. Not me, but God in his word, because the truth is already inside of you. You just have to be willing to seek it, to listen, and to discern it. What we're dealing with right now is deeper than politics. This is spiritual, you guys. And I'm grateful. I love being a Christian. Am I perfect? No, I'm not, but God doesn't ask me to be perfect. But I have self-awareness, and I put forth effort every day to be a better version of myself. And I do stay obedient, and I do pray. I ask for forgiveness, because sometimes I can get emotional. And when I get emotional, I can say some words, some real colorful words. And God says that we can protect ourselves. Okay. So with that being said, you guys, thank you guys. I just saw someone who got the shield package, and I want to congratulate you. Let me see if I can find you. I said I was going to try to remember your name. So at Descendant of Greatness, hello, welcome to the shield package. So you guys, I'm not sure, it sounds like a she. I believe you're a she. Just purchased the shield package. And And I see that she has the Belt of Truth badge. That is the badge that you start out with when you purchase my channel package, my channel member package, and become a loyalty member. If you want to support me any further than just a subscriber, which I love all of my subscribers, I appreciate you. But if you want to become a loyalty member, and you can purchase one of my packages, they start at, let me see. My packages start at $3.99 for the shield, and you can go to the sword. Thank you, Miss Minnie, for the sword package. She's been with me for some time. You will see that when you have the badges, it will level up from the belt, and then you will go to different pieces of your armor, and you'll end with the sword, which is the word of God. But you can start my packages. I try to keep them as low as possible. With $3.99 for the shield, you have the sword, and then you have the spirit package. And as I was saying, when it comes to the shield, you level up. You start with the belt, and then you will level up to different armor, and you will end with the sword, which is the word of God. So thank you so much to my new loyalty member. I also want to congratulate and thank my other loyalty members that stuck with me and here to support me and walk with me on this journey. I appreciate you so much. And also my community spotlight, my subscribers, my loyal subscribers, and all my FBAs out there. I love you guys, and I truly do. And I want you guys to know that I pray for you always. I have my friends here, but I'm so grateful to be here and share with you guys, because that's what I'm doing, is just sharing what I've learned. And we walk this journey together, and we're going to get to this other side, because this is our country and we are God's people, and the world will know that. But thank you guys for joining me on this live. I went way longer than what I expected, but I haven't did a live in a while, so I wanted to get on here. Okay, let me see if I can read some of your messages before I go. This matrix is very strong. I've heard people say that too. He is showing everyone now more to come, but the truth will reveal and succeed, point blank, period. Thank you so much for that. America is Egypt. Oh my gosh, you guys are locked in. Mississippi River. My husband's from Mississippi. I love Mississippi. Hallelujah, amen. Oh, I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for you guys. We love you, Livv. I love you. I truly do. I come here and be my authentic self, and that's all I know how to be, is me. And I'm so happy that it resonates with you guys. When I first started this, I was like, God, are you sure? I know nothing about the social media world, but that's just how God works, and having faith, and he told me your people will be there, and share with them what I taught you. Like I love praying and being in that time with God. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I don't go to church. I believe that, well, this is gonna take longer. I guess I'll hold that conversation for something else. But this is a time where you guys can, well, I feel as if we can connect a little bit, because when I do my videos, I structured it in a way so that I can be professional, and I want you guys to understand what I'm saying. So I'm more mindful on what I say, and I layer it out so that I can get my points across so that you guys can understand me clearly. But I'm glad it resonates with you. Tribe of Judah. Your mom is from Mississippi? Oh my gosh. I love Mississippi. My husband is from Mississippi. We'll be celebrating 27, well, we'll be, how many years? 23 years of our marriage. I say we've been dating for 27 years, but we've been together. Our marriage anniversary is next month. And then next month, I'll be 45, guys. So I'm so excited about that. Even though everything ache on you at this age. Like, I'm like, what's going on? At first it was my knees, and now it's my hips. Like, I think you're so on point, and come to think about it, when the Civil Rights Act was a bill, the Dems filibustered it, and after it passed, all they had the elders doing was fighting for immigration. And you know what? One of the saddest things, thank you for sharing that. I love that we share things together, because I didn't know that. And one of the most hurtful things is in that process, when I do my research and then I pray about it and ask God for understanding, it's like them making us fight each other. That's why I personally, even with myself, my husband, and my children, I don't fight my people. I'll walk away if I have to, because living in the projects, you have to do that a lot just to survive and defend yourself, because for various different reasons and factors make a play. But once I got older, I was like, I never want to fight my people again. Like, of course, you go through school and learn and pick up certain habits and things, which I never, ever liked it. And I believe that's going to change, but it changes with us. I'm good to my people in real life. And if I could help, I do. I don't allow anyone to use or take me for granted. But my husband and I and our family, we help our people in real life. And not saying we're ugly to anyone else, but we definitely make ours a priority. That's intentional. Okay, nice talking to you guys. I'm going to look over your comments, but when I do a live, it takes almost 24 hours before I can even go back over it. You guys are making me stay on longer. I try to really keep them short so you guys can watch. It says, congrats on your anniversary and birthday. You look 25. All love and support, Livv. You know what? Falling this for 25. Thank you. You're so nice. You've been here with me for a really long time. I appreciate you, and thank you for the compliment. But yeah, I'm going to be 45. And me, when they try to, like, it's a slight by saying auntie, or I don't care anything about that. I love my age. I mean, and so does my friends. Like, we have to be there for those next generations coming up. So I live my life in the way that I show up on social media or at home. I love you guys too. I love all of my FBAs. Congrats to your wedding. Thank you so much, Karen Smith. Alabama dad, Texas mom. Oh, I love that. Yeah, let's go Texas. Yeah, big Texas. It's nothing like the South. Dad, St. Louis. Okay. Thank you so much, Descendant of Greatness, for joining the channel's membership. I'm so happy that you enjoy the content in the channel. That means more to me than you know. Thank you, Livv, Regina. Thank you, Regina. I'm from Mississippi too. Yes. At Renaissance Woman 100. I love that. Black Americans are the tribe of Judah. You better let them know. America is the motherland. They're going to find out. You discussed more in the spiritual implications. Okay, I'm going to have to read back over there. You said, I'm late. You can discuss the Selma March. If you guys want me to, you said the Selma March? Yeah, you guys let me know things that you're interested in. Okay, this is going way over. I'm going to go back and read over that. It says at Renee Waltz, beautiful Livv. Hi, I was going to say something to the crazy person with all that smoke in your comment page. Thank you for your videos. Thank you. Sometimes, you know, they always say that, like, I left I come from the projects too. I it's a part of me. I embrace every part of me. And my mother lived in the projects, and we were on government assistance and all that. I'm not ashamed of that at all. It's a part of my story. It makes me who I am. And people see the grown-up me and I feel like God has always been in my life, but you elevate, you grow, you evolve in life. But they always say the hood stay in some people. Certain things that, we don't do disrespect, especially not in the South, And I grew up with 2 brothers, my uncles, my, a good community, my cousins, So although they hear me and they have this perception of me and they want to try me, and I do love the Lord, but I do come from the line of David. I come from the line of Esther, So I'm saying that to say that I will defend myself, and sometimes you have to be aware of your triggers. And I don't like to be tried, but I've gotten better to not be emotional or allow myself to get upset. But I think you guys get what I'm saying. Fill the blank for all the naysayers. Just do what we were told by our ancestor said. Feed with them the long handle spoon. Absolutely. Feed them out of a long handle spoon. That's got us very far by taking those principles and those sayings that how we were told. And we have to remember all that. Life be lifing for us. And somehow we've lost our way, even growing up in church and seeing the deception that even in our church. But we're going to get there, you guys, and we're going to all get there together. Okay, I love you guys. I have to go now, but I'll be reading your comments as soon as it become available to me. I see you guys in my next video. Thank you again. Bye.